Think about the people who call you. Only when something is wrong. The ones who show up at your door. Only when they are broken. And you open it every single time because it feels like love. But what if it wasn't? What if all this time they didn't love you? They just needed you? There is a difference between being loved and being useful. Most people never learn it. Not because they are foolish, but because no one ever told them. We were taught that love means sacrifice. We were told that staying is strength. We were shown that giving is the highest form of caring, and so we gave and gave and gave until the day we had nothing left and we finally saw who was still there. In a small village between two quiet hills, there lived a woman named Mara. The road into her village curved just enough that you couldn't see what was coming. Until it was already in front of you. That detail matters, because that was Mara's life. She never saw things coming. She only responded. Mara was not rich. She was not powerful. She was not famous, but everyone in the village knew her name, because everyone needed her. When a neighbor's roof was leaking, Mara arrived with tools before she was asked. When a child fell sick, Mara cared for the siblings without being called. When old Thomas lost his wife and sat alone for weeks, too broken even to eat, it was Mara who came every morning with bread, who sat beside him in silence, who waited until he found his words again. People said she had a gift. They said she was born to help, and Mara believed them, because when she helped, she felt something close to peace, like she was exactly where she was meant to be. She didn't yet know that peace and purpose can be borrowed from the wrong places. Mara's husband was a man named Edric. Quiet eyes, strong hands, a man who could fix almost anything, except his own distance. When work was scarce, Edric went cold, silent at dinner, absent in the same room. Mara would bring him tea. He would take it without a word. But when life improved, he came back warm, grateful, playful, present. And Mara told herself, this is love. You hold someone through the dark, and the light returns. Her closest friend was Kella, sharp, loud, alive with energy. But whenever Kella's world became difficult, she came to Mara, not to ask how Mara was, to pour every problem, every fear, every grievance. Kella would arrive heavy and leave light, and Mara would sit alone afterward, heavier than before. Still, she told herself, this is friendship. Then there was Doran, young, restless, searching. Mara took him under her care like a second mother. She gave him work. She listened to his dreams at midnight. She lent him money she couldn't afford to lose, and Doran looked at her one evening and said, you are the closest thing to a mother I have ever had. Those words filled her so completely that she didn't notice her own garden had gone dry, the one she planted just for herself, the one no one ever watered. Then, one autumn, Mara fell ill, not gravely, but enough to need rest, enough to need help, enough to finally stop giving and wait. She sent word to everyone, and then she waited. Edric tried Kasin for a few days. Then quietly, gently, he began to remind her that the house still needed to run, that caring for others was her role. Kella came once. She brought a small cake and spent most of the visit talking about herself. Before she left, she touched Mara's hand and said, you'll be better soon. You always are, Doran. Didn't come at all. And Mara lay in the stillness, staring at the ceiling, and something inside her became very, very clear. Not angry, not bitter, just clear. She thought of the neighbor she helped, who walked past her now without a glance. She thought, curve old Thomas, and who built a new fence that spring and barely said hello. She thought of Chella, who had never once asked, how are you? What do you need? Are you okay? She thought of Doran, who called her family and didn't show up. And slowly, as not with rage, not with grief, but with the quiet weight of understanding, Mara saw the truth. She had not been loved, she had been useful. And those are not the same thing. Being loved means someone sees you when you have nothing left to give. Being useful means someone sees only what you can do for them. You can be someone's first call in a crisis and their last thought on a quiet evening. You can be the person they cannot live without, and the person they never truly see. And here is the hardest truth of all. If you fill every empty space in someone's life, They will never learn to stand on their own, and you will slowly disappear. On the 14th day, Mara got out of bed. She walked to her garden, the one she had planted for herself and then forgotten. She pulled the weeds, turned the soil, watered the dry earth and planted new seeds, not for anyone else, for herself. That morning, she made a quiet decision, not to stop loving, not to close her door, but to open it differently. She would still help, but from a full heart, not an empty one, from choice, not from fear of what would happen if she said no. The next time Cella arrived unready to pour, Mara spoke first. She shared her own truth calmly, honestly, without apology. Cella went quiet in which she didn't know how to respond, but then something softened in her, and she listened. For the first time in years, their friendship became real. Edric noticed the change. Mara stopped filling every silence. At first, it made him restless. Then, it made him curious. He began to ask questions he had never asked before. Edric said, "How are you feeling? What do you want? What are you thinking?" Small questions, but real ones, and slowly, the love between them became something mutual. Months later, Doran returned, this time, but without asking for anything. Doran said, "I thought about you when you were sick. I was ashamed I didn't come. I didn't know how to face that." Mara let him in, but she didn't pretend it hadn't mattered. Mara said, "I noticed. The people who say they love you should show up, and so should you." She said it without cruelty, just truth. And that truth gave him something no amount of comfort ever had. Standard to grow into. Mara did not become cold. She did not become hard. She simply learned to open her door with love, with awareness and with choice. And something beautiful happened. The people who truly cared for her became visible because they were always there. She just hadn't been able to see them through all the noise of being needed. So ask yourself one honest question. When you had nothing left to give, who stayed? Not who called, not who texted, not who said the right thing. Who stayed? Those people are the ones who love you, not the ones who need you. Most the ones who want you, not just what you do. You are not a service. You are not a solution. You are not a door that exists only to be opened when someone is desperate. You are a person. Give, be kind, stay generous. But give from a place that is truly yours, not from exhaustion, not from guilt, not from the fear of what they'll think if you say no, from truth, from fullness, from love that begins inside you. Because that is where real love begins, for others and for yourself. If this story felt familiar, if you recognized yourself somewhere in Mara, then know this. You are not alone and you are not wrong for finally asking for what you've always given. Share this with someone who gives too much and receives too little. They may not have the words yet, but this story might say it for them. Subscribe for more stories like this one. Stories about love, truth, quiet strength, and the small but powerful decisions that change everything. Until next time, be someone's reason to stay, but first, be your own.